Last week, we had Dan on to talk Premier Lacrosse Week 1, and we ended up cashing probably the most bets from last weekend were in Premier Lacrosse, more than Major League Baseball. Dan, New York Atlas, they never let me down.
I told you, we didn't even have to. We were like, oh, let's go money line. You know what I mean? Because this has been a tight game. No, Atlas went full belt to ass. 16-12 win against the Chaos. Like we said, like, don't be scared off. Like, okay, there's going to be players missing. These rosters are incomplete. Some of these teams it just doesn't matter for. And there were so many people. I went on a different show on Friday, and they were telling me, oh, one of my favorite bets of the week is going to be going on the Chaos because the Atlas, they're not going to have their face-off guy, former MVP Trevor Baptiste. Like, we already knew that. You know what I mean? We weren't scared of that because of how they have set up these rules. Missing a face-off guy isn't the end of the world because when you win the face-off, you have a shortened shot clock. And then you get the longer shot clock on the second possession. So sometimes it behooves you to play better defense and just punt on the face-off. So yeah,
you mentioned missing guys. Are we in the same boat as last week where we're missing guys again? And where can we find those edges this week?
So guys are going to slowly start rolling back in here as the NLL playoffs, they're slowly coming to an end here. Still, you got the Rock. Those players are still going to be out here. And I believe it's the Thunderbirds. Yes, great names over there in the NLL. But it's all Canada final, but there are guys who are still going to be missing from that. But now that the NCAA playoffs is entering the quarterfinal stage, some of those higher picks are going to start rolling in because their teams are no longer playing. Like with the Waterdogs, are we going to see Silas Richmond this weekend because his Albany team got absolutely smoked by UNC? Those are things that on Thursdays and Fridays you probably want to follow me over on Twitter at Neuby Talks or follow the different PLL pages because that's when they'll announce what their rosters are going to be for the weekend. And that's where we kind of see who's going to be out, who's going to be in. So
at least the Waterdogs don't play until Saturday. So we have a
Yes.
little bit of time. I know that jumping in early can be helpful too. Let's start then with Friday, 6:05 p.m. Eastern, the Chaos and the Cannons right now. And again, they're playing in Rhode Island this weekend. So Boston's like kind of the home team, even though it's not their home stadium. The Cannons are a short dog, plus 102 at FanDuel. The Chaos minus 124, total 24.5. What is the lean here?
Now, hey, let's be honest, yes, we were all hyped because we hit our Atlas bet last week. However, a lot of that had to do with the fact that one of the best goaltenders, if not the best goaltender that we've seen in the PLL in Blaise Reardon, was not in cage for the Chaos. Reason being, he had a kid. Congratulations. Aww. But now he has been taken off the paternity, I guess it would be list. I guess yeah. So he will be back here. Is he going to start or will it be Cout again? That remains to be seen. However, I would say for a new father, our friend Andy Lang, he has this thing. It's called the fade the baby theory. And if it's a golfer, if it's a UFC fighter who just had a kid, typically he likes to fade that player or that golfer, that fighter, simply because their lives have completely changed. You know what I mean? Now, this is a little bit different of a situation because you have a whole other team around you. But do we fade the baby? And do we take Boston here in the first opening game? Because let's be real, Cout was not good in that game against the Atlas. There was a play, he went out of cage, he just gave us a free goal, and that's kind of where momentum completely shifted, because before that, it was a little bit of a sweat. It was a little bit of a back and forth affair. But for me, heading into this weekend, Boston way underperformed last year. And we saw this opening weekend where the Utah Archers, they had 2 games. They lost the first one and they won the second one. That was a team who clearly was trying to take the stink off of what happened last year. And in this matchup, let's be real that Carolina is a favorite very rarely in this matchup. Now, they have gone 5-1 straight up and against the spread versus Boston, but majority of those games, they were dogs. So I think it's a little surprising to me. I think it's because they have a game under belt. I think it's because Blaise is going to be back that you're seeing Carolina as a favorite in this game. I think Boston's live. I know you got to, lay minus 140, 142 if you want to get the goal and a half with them. But Carolina, this is only the 15th time since we've been tracking these lines that Carolina is a favorite. In those games when they're favorites, they're 4-10 against the number. this is a team that likes sneaking up on people. It's not typically a team that's going to be front running on anyone. I think you got a live dog with the Boston Cannons, who they, as underdogs, they're 14-6 against the number. They're a team who usually is laying lumber. Now we're getting a goal and a half. Their first game of the year. It's not a bet for me yet, but that's the only way I would play it is Boston plus 1.5. Boston get that plus money on the money line.
I like it. And everyone just remember too, you could sign up for free on Pikkit Sports and you could track everything that I bet. Are you on Pikkit?
No, I need to get on Pikkit. You know what I mean?
Because you're going to sign up and use promo code PROPQUEEN. And don't use Kelly's, use mine. Promo code PROPQUEEN. Then you are able to see and track what everybody's betting, all your favorite cappers. You could see what we actually bet. It's connected to your sports book. You could track your stuff as well. So sync your sports book and use promo code PROPQUEEN, and they give you a bunch of nice free deals. And I think you get some cash back as well. I should double check that. But I'm pretty sure you get like $5 or $10 if you sign up using promo code PROPQUEEN. And of course, I get $5 too. So that's really nice.
Sorry, Kelly. I'm using PROPQUEEN. I'm sorry.
Sync your sports book so you can see what we actually get down. I know that Dan is going to be betting this weekend in PLL like I am, because my New York Outlaws, they cashed the money line for us last week. So the Atlas are facing my dad's Maryland Whipsnakes, but the Atlas, the book's kind of caught on to us now, Dan, because they're laying a hefty minus 164 on that money line with a total of 24.5. That's Friday night, 8:35 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, and this game has kind of become almost like a quasi rivalry game because these teams see each other a lot because they're typically always, around the top of the rankings. Whipsnakes, they've kind of fallen off. Atlas come in 1-0. They come in 0-1. Interestingly enough, this game is typically whoever is the favorite, just sell them, because the favorite in this matchup, whether it's the Whipsnakes, whether it's the Atlas, favorite has only covered this spread in 3 of their 10 meetings, 3-7 against the spread. So that means if you just blindly bet the dog in this matchup, you're cashing a nice percentage of tickets at 7-3. Atlas themselves in this matchup, when they are favored, they did cover last year, but that was the first time in Atlas history that they covered as favorites against the Maryland Whipsnakes. 1-5 against the number, and their first cover came last week. So if you're going by historical trends, you want to take the goal and a half and just have it in pocket. Now, opening week, favorites were the books were spot on with the teams that were favorites. Now, typically we talk about in NFL, like week 2 is overreaction week, where we kind of try and swing the pendulum back. I kind of see that happening here too, because right out of the gate, I'm leaning towards the dogs in both of this one. Now, I think Atlas could get this one done by the end of the game. But if you look at what the Whips did against the Philadelphia Waterdogs, that really was a closer game than I think the 16-14 final would indicate. It was just the Waterdogs in the middle of the game completely just jumped on top of the Whips. I think they know that they have to keep it more of a back and forth affair, not get caught in a track meet. So for me, leaning towards the 1.5. I'm not going to say your Atlas loses, but my money would not be on the Atlas this week. And I would be much more inclined to be looking towards the Whipsnakes getting their first win of the season. I think this is going to be a tight game. I think it's a 1-goal game. So pick your poison there. I wouldn't be laying any points in this one.
Yeah, it's a lot to lay minus 164 with the team, just 1 week of sample size.
Exactly.
Saturday, California Redwoods, Denver Outlaws, Saturday at 1:05 p.m. Eastern. I said to Dan, do you have a prop for me this weekend? He said, this is the game. What's our prop?
This is the game. This is our first prop bet of the season in PLL. And it's something that we love because we love lower bet markets. And what's a lower bet market than taking a lacrosse league and then going into an even more micro market and talking about some player props here. So we'll make folks wait. We'll give you the player prop at the end here, Aaron,
okay,
because that is the true best bet of the week is what we're going to be doing in the prop market in this one. As far as the matchup sets up, this is a matchup, again, that I hate to be the broken record leaning towards an underdog here, but Denver in this matchup, 4-1 straight up over the last 2 years. So the Denver Outlaws, they were the Chrome, and then they got rebranded as the Outlaws. So you can go back further and look at what the Chrome was, but there's been a lot of changes. I mean, head coach has stayed the same, but the roster is completely different. So I think just looking at the last 2 years is a great way to do it. Denver 4-1 straight up. and against the spread in the last 2 years against this team. They match up really well against California. Denver is underdogs in that span, 7-5 against the number. So they've been decent barking as dogs. But the bigger one for me is California. A favorite, they are not. Now, the Nat St. Laurent, when he was the head coach, those days are long gone. Now you have Anthony Kelly, who I think fits this brand much more, but still, year over year since 2020, California 9-14 as favorites. Now, last week they did win and cover as favorites. So is this a new era for the Redwoods? Maybe, but with a hungry Outlaws team that I think is going to be really pissed off that they let that one get away from them against the Archers. I think Outlaws are going to be another barking dog that you have here. So I wouldn't lay the 1.5. I know it's super enticing. Money line's a little bit too rich. I think this could be an underdog weekend in Rhode Island. So I hate to do it, but 3 straight games. I like the underdog in all 3 of them. Yeah.
Kelly in Vegas.
Kelly will be very happy, but she won't be happy when she knows I'm using promo code PROPQUEEN over at.
We don't have to tell her that part of the weekend.
Okay, that'll be our secret. Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, she's not going to watch this.
Yeah,
she already knows all this. She knows the answers. What I don't know.
She's in the group chat. She's in the group chat.
I know. We've got a great PLL group chat that everyone here is missing out on. We get all the dirty details way early for everything that we got to get action in on before we let all of you know, because guess what? Every time that Dan gives me a prop for PLL, I'm pissed off that I forget to bet it on like Wednesday or Thursday. I end up betting it day of or like that morning, and the lines already moved so much. It happened last week. A bunch of different lines you gave me all ended up moving by the time that the game started. So what is the prop that we are recording this Thursday? I know that the game is on Saturday that you have this prop in. What is the prop that we have to get that action down on like right now?
Well, the even money is gone on the prop. I hate to
Of course
tell you.
it
is. This is unfortunate to share with you, but it's still -113. As long as they don't move the number itself, I would bet this one up to -150, -160. That's how much I like it.
And just to say about Pikkit again, Pikkit does tell you where the best numbers are in the market. So I could go on to Pikkit and I could find where the best numbers are, find good odds.
Well done. That's another great plug. Use promo code PROPQUEEN. That's how it's done right there. So for me, it's Dylan Malloy. He plays for the California Redwoods. He looked great in week 1. We're going over his 2.5 points. It was even money. Now it's -113. We know in the prop world, that's still a great number, right? We're never
end up at like -125 by the time we hit the game.
Yeah, I would say by the time that we're publishing this video, if you go over and bet it after I already bet it, and then if Kelly goes and bets it, they're going to say, "Oh wait, these are 3 accounts."
Randall's going to say, "Oh no, those 3 PLL sharps are at it again. Time to move the line."
They're at it again. They can't keep getting away with this. But here's what it boils down to. I actually think another bet that you might want to make, and sure, it's a long shot, 75-1. I like Dylan Malloy to be alive in the MVP conversation.
Okay.
He was last year to start the year. He was absolutely humming, and then he kind of petered off towards the end of the year. He just didn't have enough to push Connor Schellenberger at the end of the year. If Dylan Malloy keeps up the same level of play that he did to start last year, and he has this year, he had 3 points in this opening game, or 4 points in this opening game last year when he was playing against the Outlaws. I like Dylan Malloy a lot. So the fact that we're getting
him over, I'm about to hit bet. So why do you like Dylan Malloy over 2.5 points?
All right, let me hit it for you. Last meeting,
over 2.5 points, right?
Yeah, we're going over 2.5 points. Over 2.5 points. His team only scored 9 goals last week. He had 3 points. So in a game when they really weren't even looking all that great offensively, he was still the engine that made this thing kind of run, right? And if you look at what he did last year, he went over this point total 6 out of his 10 games. Oh, Dan, that's not enough. But also, he went under by a half point. He had 2 points or more in 9 out of his 10 games. So this is a line that is either going over or going under. So the fact that this number should be 3.5, that should be where the number's at, because he's always flirting with 3 points. We were getting even money in it. Now we're only -113. The number makes a heck of a lot of sense. I think he could push for the MVP award. I think he's a guy who will be heavily involved no matter who is on the field for this offense. Dylan Malloy is a super important part of the California Redwoods. They are one of the teams who is favored now, or at the top of the odds board to go on and win this championship. We told you to bet them 10-1 before we started the season. Don't forget that. But yeah, Dylan Malloy over 2.5 points. Sprinkle a little bit on him also to be the MVP of this league. It's 75-1. That's worth a flyer.
Especially if this California Redwoods team, who started at 10-1, now looking a lot more promising. If he's on that team and they're in contention to win it all, that's a really nice payout at 75-1 for Dylan Malloy. But first, we're going to take the over 2.5 points. Saturday, 1:05 p.m. Eastern time, -113 at the moment. Philadelphia Waterdogs, Boston Cannons. That's a large gap. I forgot they have such a large gap on Saturdays between games, that little intermission. That game's 8:05 p.m. Eastern. Again, it's in Rhode Island. So the Cannons playing 2 games this weekend. Dan, what's that trend again? And is that trend still our friend?
Yeah, so the trend wasn't our friend in week 1, but year over year, we'll see if that continues. But it's that the teams who have to play 2 games in a weekend, last year they went 2-6 straight up and against the spread. Now, the Archers bucked that trend. They lost game 1, and then they ended up losing game 2 in this first weekend. But let's track that. Was that a one-off? Are these teams kind of tired? I think what helped the Cannons here on also maybe bucking that trend is the fact that this is their opening weekend, right? They didn't have to travel last weekend. Now, does that hurt them? Does that help them? I'm not sure, but they're matching up against a Waterdogs team who looks really, really strong. They won't have CJ Kirst again, as he will be with the Toronto Rock. So for this one, I hate to say it because, the Waterdogs I mentioned in their first matchup, this was kind of a wait and see team for me. This is the one game I would probably lean towards the favorite, but the fact that they're -142 just doesn't get it done for me. The fact that this is also the first time that Philadelphia is going to be favored over Boston in over 2 years, that I don't love. The last time they were favored, they lost outright to this Boston team, who, if they lose game 1, I think will be ultra motivated here in game 2. So this one I would not bet until we see what the Cannons look like in their first game of the weekend. But also, that being said, Archers lost their first game. They won their second. So don't put your chips all in. This is something that I think we need to track. And for me, at least we gave you a best bet in that Redwoods game, because this one's going to be a no play for me. I lean towards the favorite, but until we see the Cannons, let's just pass on this one. And as you mentioned, this one doesn't go until 8 p.m. Saturday. So I'm sure I'll have something I like. Hit the follow button at Neuby Talks, and I'll let you know if we do have a bet. In between those 2 games, WLL, the Women's Lacrosse League, is what's going to be in action. No lines on that yet because it's the first time they're playing over the summer months. But I think after 3 or 4 weeks, probably after the All-Star break, we'll probably be able to get some nice lines down here on these WLL games and have an extra game on these PLL weekends that's even less bet. So, we're going to have to keep breaking these down.
That's real sharp stuff right there. I was there for the WLL launch too. We were at that Maybelline party last year. They were really excited about getting more games in for women's lacrosse and putting them on such a big stage. We love putting Dan on a big stage too, because sharpest guy I know in Premier Lacrosse. Dan, you said where everyone could find you. It's at Dan Neuby, or Neuby Talks. Neuby Talks on X.
Yep. NEUBYTALKS. That's where all the bets go out. We'll have some videos that we'll be partnering with the PLL this summer as well. You can follow on my Instagram page. So it's all Neuby Talks. NEUBYTALKS. Wherever there's an @ sign, I'm likely there. Hit me with the follow, and we'll see you over there. And use promo code PROPQUEEN at Pikkit. There we go. Now we're good to go.
Track our bets. Make sure that we're actually betting stuff, which we are, because everyone can't seem to believe that. And that is living evidence. Prop Queen, promo code, Pikkit Sports. But every week we've got Dan Neuby coming on. Well, your real name, it's weird. Your last name's Newbert, but okay.
It's Newbert, but nobody knows how to spell it. That's why I always have to spell it out. The middle name is Alexander.
Comes on here every week. We discuss PLL, the sharpest sides of the weekend. Thanks so much, Dan. Good luck.
Appreciate you. Thank you.